Welcome to Lacrosse Classified, your go-to source for all things NLL and box lacrosse. We will bring you the biggest names and best storylines in the world every single week. So settle down and listen up. It's time for Lax Class.
What's up, lacrosse fans? Welcome back to Lacrosse Classified right here on the Lax Edge Podcast Network. For Lax Class 372, it's Jake Elliott. It's Lucas Archer, Jumbo and Larger with you once again, and a monster, a behemoth of a program is about to seep into your eardrums here. We appreciate you listening, and Lucas, I'll invite you onto the podcast before I tell everybody what's coming up on the program. Welcome back to Lax Class. How are things?
Good, man. Thanks for welcoming me into today's program. First and foremost, Happy New Year to you and
Indeed.
to all the Lax Class listeners.
How did it go down in the Borough?
The Borough was a fun time. It was a really fun time. Started the night out at my friend's girlfriend's house. She had her roommates up and the boyfriends and a couple other people over, so that was fun. Made our way out to the bars for a little bit. Got back home early in the morning. Spent the entire day there in Peterborough, and then came back home because the very next day I had to be back at work in the office. But yeah, it was a good New Year's Eve, a good New Year's Day morning, and a pretty good brunch that we went out for later on once everyone woke up and got themselves cleaned up after the previous night.
Brunch, maybe the most underrated meal that there is. Brunch. It's good.
Yes.
Well, that's good. Danny and I took it pretty easy on New Year's Eve, just watched a little hockey, and then here in Coquitlam, they do a thing every year where we got a place called Lafarge Lake, which isn't too far away from where I live, but it's a nice little kind of man-made lake, and the city goes berserk. Like, they just decorate the heck out of this like walking trail around it, like with Christmas lights and decorations, and it just it lights up the city. So I figure we'll go for it. It was a pretty nice night, and I figured, all right, like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, let's go for a walk around the lake. Like, people are going to be doing it. Was jam packed, man. Like, I just felt like herded cattle walking around in there. Like, couldn't get around anybody, or just like people are stopping in the middle of the trail taking pictures, and I was just, that's not my scene, Lucas. I I don't do well in like big masses of crowd. Like, I just want to stick my elbows up and just truck people. Like, that's what I want to do. Like, get out of my way sort of thing. So anyways, we got a lap around the lake. We both made it to midnight and not much further than that. And that was our New Year's Eve. I promised the classmates I would tell them what's coming up here on the program. So I'm going to do that right now. Quarter number one. We got games to recap. It was a fun week 6 in the National Lacrosse League, and week 7, oh boy, big week 7 coming up. So look forward to that coming up a little later. But here in quarter 1, we'll recap week 6. We will hand out our Goalie Factory Goalie of the week. I don't know if we handed out, deliver. I don't know what the word is, but we're going to tell you who our Goalie Factory Goalie of the week is, and then we will tell you who our RyCor Construction standout players of the week are. And then after that, we're going to move into quarter number 2, and we are going to be joined by the captain of the Saskatchewan Rush. I think I've ran down Rhino a couple of times on like the Rush Hour back when I was working with the Rush, and had a couple of good chats with Ryan over there. But I don't know. I'd have to go back through the 371 episodes, but I don't think we've ever had Ryan Keenan on Lax Class. Ryan and the Rush coming off a big weekend for the captain, so we're going to talk to Ryan Keenan coming up. And then in quarter number 3, I mentioned this last week, that we may go off the board here a little bit as far as guests go, and I don't know how far off the board it really is, but we are going to be joined by sports psychologist Dr. Johnathan Jenkins. He likes to go by JJ. So there you go, doctor with a little bit of style. Johnathan Jenkins, sports psychologist, is going to join us in quarter number 3. He's got a new book coming out called Mentality Wins. This guy's a sports psychologist for the New England Patriots, the Boston Red Sox, went to Harvard. I got to admit, Lucas, like we've never had a doctor, never mind Ryan Keenan, we've never had a doctor on the podcast before. And this dude's a pretty smart guy. a little bit nervous. I don't get nervous very often. We're going to talk to a doctor here on the podcast in quarter number 3. So look forward to that conversation. We'll see where it goes. And then in quarter 4, we're going to jam together the Lax Class Lock of the Week and who you got week 7. And like I just said, man, week 7, this is where you're going to separate the pretenders from the contenders. Like this week, we're going to see who's who and what's what. Some really, like a lot of games, I think 8 on the slate and some tough picks. Like you could flip a coin on every one of these games as far as I'm concerned, and who knows. So we'll announce our week 6 winner. We'll make our picks for week 7. We'll throw a couple of parlays at you, courtesy of Cool Bet as well. So lots to discuss here on this week's podcast. We thank you for listening, and let's get into it here, Lucas. It began Friday night in the Tune. A little better crowd there, I would say, at SaskTel Center. They kind of tarped off the upper deck a little bit and kind of moved everybody down. Lower bowl looked pretty good. I think, they'd still like a few more in there. But regardless, this was a rematch, home and home, if you will, and Saskatchewan and Halifax hooking up again. This is a rivalry that is really starting to brew. And I would say early on, Halifax had the upper hand, especially in Halifax against the Rush. But the tables have kind of turned here a little bit. Saskatchewan beat Halifax in week number 5. They beat Halifax in Saskatchewan in week number 6 and really kind of just controlled the game from the onset. Typical Rush lacrosse, I would call this. Frank Chiliano continues to impress. Like, for me right now, I think he's the odds-on to repeat as goaltender of the year through 6 weeks of the season. Holding the Halifax Thunderbirds offense to just 7 goals. 2 shutout quarters in there for Frank the Tank as well. 11-7, the final for the Rush, who are now the first team to 4 wins, 3-0 at home. Rush are in first place.
It was a dominant performance, a full 60 minutes, and I'm not sure we've seen that yet from the Rush this season. They've looked, 57, 58, even 59, but a full 60-minute, 3, 4, 5-facet performance from the Bison Heads, and they looked great. Their offense was amazing. Their lockdown defense, they just get better and better with each and every game. I like it. Halifax side of the ball, offense, you said it, Jake, they were stifled and shut out in quarters 1 and 4. So middle 2 is where they got their goals. Took them a bit of time, though. Actually, sorry, I shouldn't say that. Took them 28 seconds in the second quarter to score, but they have to get better. And I know that's something that Micah Kersey is preaching. I know that's what the rest of the coaching staff is doing. And I don't want to keep beating the same drum, but discipline keeps hurting Halifax. It just seems like it's this dark cloud hanging over them. They get to the start of the fourth quarter. They either have the lead or they're in a position to take the lead, and then they just take dumb penalties, or more importantly, untimely penalties that just kills them in the end. And that doesn't make a championship team.
No, I don't know what the answer is either. Like, I think bottom line is you have to start taking floor time away from guys and just maybe even sit them down for a full quarter or healthy scratch them for a game. Or I don't know what's going to get through to that Halifax team, but that's really what's keeping them from being elite is too much time in the penalty box. Like 18 minutes in penalties, that's, it's over a full quarter that you're sitting in the penalty box, and it's hard to score goals, let alone 5-on-5. When you're down a man, even tougher, and just not a good recipe for success there in Halifax. So we'll see if they rebound and refocus this coming week. We got to get to Oshawa, as Ottawa and Oshawa were playing. Dan Malta, Scott Arnold making their Fireworks debut. Parisa down on the sidelines as well. And this was an entertaining game. I know a bunch of people made the trip from Ottawa. I think they had like a fan bus come from the Canadian Tire Center to Oshawa to watch their Bears, and they're packing them in there for the Firewolves as well. And I think they got entertained to some pretty good lacrosse here. It was nice to see Oshawa scoring some goals. Problem was, Ottawa just scored a couple more than they did, led by one Jeffrey Teat, as you would expect. 10 points for him. Simmons went mental as well. I think he had 6 goals in that game, but not enough for Oshawa. Are still searching for wins here, and Ottawa is starting to gain a little momentum under Dan McRae.
Yes, they are. I'll start with Ottawa. Yeah, Dan McRae he's got a new vision. Black Bears are buying into it, which is what you need when you have a first season head coach. You're right, Teat and the rest of the supporting cast. But Higgins didn't look terrible, didn't look great, but he didn't look bad. Oshawa's offense, exploded for 14 goals. Most goals that they've scored, they scored 14 goals in this game, Jake, and they scored 14 in their two previous home games combined.
It's funny, like Dougie has been playing so well, but hasn't been getting the run support, and then he gets the run support, and 14 get by him. So
Glenn Clark said in post-game media that the defense made uncharacteristic individual defensive breakdowns. Offense got going, uncharacteristic defensive breakdowns occurred in the fourth quarter, which is what sunk them, and they made a couple roster moves today. Carson Moyer, a 2023 second-round draft pick, has been signed to the Firewolves, played a couple games with them last year in Albany. Corson Keeley back on the practice roster, and Hayden Summers-Thompson, a 2025 draft pick for them, has been released from the practice roster. So Moyer has been lighting it up in the Arena Lacrosse League. Something like 19 goals and 17 assists in 4 games, I want to say, Jake. He has like 36 points in 4 games. Right back to the drawing board. Good news is that they're at home, but it's against Halifax, who stifled them in their first matchup this season.
Yeah, and they're coming off of 2 straight losses as well, and they're not going to want to see a third one either. So that should be a really, really competitive game. And we did see the Firewolves announce that Joe Nardella was done for the year, and I think that was pretty common knowledge that it was pretty serious for Nardella. Finally made official by Oshawa that he is done. So I don't know if Byrne is the long-term answer there. Like, we saw Vancouver go out and sign Max Adler, who will make his Warriors debut this week in Calgary. I don't know if you can go the whole year without a predominant face-off guy. And I don't know who, the next guy, for me, if I'm thinking off the top of my head, Reese Barnes is probably the next guy I'm giving a call as far as being a really good face-off guy and a guy that can do some checking as well. So I think he deserves a shot somewhere. He's had a couple of cracks, I think in Halifax and Saskatchewan. Problem for him, Withers and Naso, 2 of the best, and 2 hard guys to kind of beat out. But with an open spot there in Oshawa, I might be giving old Reese Barnes a wrinkle just to see if he can get the job done. Give him a chance at least and just see. We got to move along here, Lucas. Let's go to Buffalo. Another sold-out KeyBank Center. I tell you, man, far be it from me to tell anybody how to run their business, but if I'm ownership there in Buffalo, and seeing what's going on with the Sabres and seeing what's going on with the Bandits, I've said this before, and not that I want to lose Scott Loeffler from the National Lacrosse League, but give that man a raise and get him into the boardroom of the Sabres and pick his brain at least, because it's just night after night after night, they pack him in there 19K strong to watch the Bandits. Not so much for the Sabres. So, I mean, I don't know, I don't know what they're doing, but they're doing something right, along with winning championships as well. But I feel like Banditland is coming to watch the Bandits play regardless of whether they're winning or losing. Winning surely helps, but I digress, Lucas. Vegas in town, Tucker Out Lymphoma Night, obviously a very emotional night and game for the Williams family, for the Bandits and the Dogs, and special uniforms and all the rest of it. And then you had on top of that Chase Fraser and Chris Kluche making the return to Banditland. Bit of a scary scene in that game involving Chase Fraser and Zach Belter. I have gotten word that not as serious as it looked for Belter. Thankfully, more whiplash related than concussion related from what I can understand, and may not go this week, but not as serious. It looks scary. That looked really, really scary, and I'm glad Zach is going to be okay. And it sounds like it wasn't as bad as it looked, and he may be able to go again in a couple of weeks from now. Like, I think he's gotten the clearance, like not concussion related, more whiplash. So good news there for Belter. Good news for the Bandits as they won this game. But I want to give Las Vegas a lot of credit here. Like, this was always going to be a tough game to win. They got down right early in this game. Buffalo got the jump. They were up 3-0 in the blink of an eye. Kells gets pulled eventually in this game. Bouquet came in and really kind of stabilized the ship back there. And I would say in years gone by, Vegas down 14-7 in Bandit land, kind of midway mark of the game. Probably not our night. Let's put this one on cruise control and get out of here. Well, not the case. Like Mitch Jones, Kluche, almost willed this team back. They went on like a 5 or a 6 goal run of their own, put this thing right within sniffing distance here of the Bandits, but Buffalo closed them out in the end. But 8-4 in that fourth quarter for Vegas and showed a lot of heart and a lot of fight, which was kind of a key word for Sean Williams in his pregame speech there. Not so much about the wins or losses. This was about the fight tonight in Buffalo. And Vegas, I mean, they fought right to the end here, but Buffalo ends up winning by 2.
I mean, it was a gritty win. I'm not sure this is what Buffalo expected out of a Vegas squad. We know that they signed a bunch of elite free agents. But the Buffalo defense bent, but they didn't break, which is always the important part. They do get the win in the column and in the standings, which helps them. But Vegas, a lot of positive takeaways that you just have to keep building. You said it, Jake. It wasn't going to be an easy trip, not an easy game, but you still have a lot to take away from this one. I think that they just need to keep building on that. Put this one in the rearview mirror. They're at 2-2. So it's not like they're 0-4 right now, or even 1-3. They're at 500, which is probably, I have to go back and check the record books, but probably their best start in 4 games in franchise history.
Especially with the start of their schedule too. Like it could have been a lot worse than 2-2 after 4 games here for Las Vegas. But they got another tough test here coming up with Saskatchewan this week at home. But I think certain losses just don't feel as bad as others, and I think a lot of positives to take away from that one in Buffalo. And for Buffalo, they got the job done, and they get a win over the Desert Dogs at home.
The way that I look at this is that you can't dwell on that. You can't dwell on the things that you didn't do.
I'm not saying they're going to dwell on it. I'm just saying they're not going to be satisfied or happy about it. That's kind of where I was going with that. Speaking of going, let's go on to Colorado. I tell you, I was, first 3 games of the week here, feeling pretty good. 3 for 3 going into Colorado, Rochester, my 10 pick. I was feeling good about the Nighthawks and how they've been playing to start the year. Colorado coming off an embarrassing loss. These 2 coaches in Pat Coyle and Josh Sanderson, who absolutely lambasted their teams after the previous week's losses, boy, did they get a response out of their clubs in their next outing as Colorado Jack Hanna era begins in Denver. Another great crowd there at Ball Arena. And Hanna came out firing in this one as, what did he do here? He put up... Well, I know he had 6 assists. He had a highlight reel goal in there as well. The floor
2
just
goals
looked...
and 6 assists for him, Jake.
Yeah, there you go. Not bad for Jackie Hanna. Will Malcolm, a strong game for Colorado. They just kind of put it to Rochester here. A 7-1 second quarter. Like, Colorado jumped out to a big lead. Rochester would go on a run. They got the lead. Then Colorado in the second quarter just stepped on the throat here. 7-1 in that second quarter was kind of the end of Rochester, and then they were just fighting uphill the rest of the game here. But Dylan Ward, solid as can be. I think just a great response. The real unfortunateness out of all this, like, they go out, they make the big trade for Jack Hanna. They're still without Q. They get this great performance, and then Ryan Lee. Near the end of the game, wrong step near the boards, onto the IR he goes. I don't think it was the knee that he had the brace on, but it didn't look too good for Ryan Lee, who kind of looked like, here we go again. So I think this guy has just had the absolute worst luck you could ever imagine as far as a lacrosse player goes. Like, just one thing after another for this guy, and on kind of a nothing play. And it looks like Ryan Lee is going to be out for a little bit again here for Colorado. So they go out and they get Hanna, and then you're thinking, okay, Q, Hanna, Lee, Malcolm, this is looking. Now Lee's gone. So essentially, they just replaced Jack Hanna for Ryan Lee, is what, and they lost a bunch of draft picks in the process.
Hopefully is okay. You're right. I don't think it was the knee. He had the brace on, so it looks like it was the other one. But as soon as the first domino fell a couple of years ago, then the next one fell. Then the next one fell. Now this one has fallen. It's like the guy can't catch a break, and it's so unfortunate to see. But you're right. Mammoth respond big time. Pat Coyle, he did not mince his words in media 2 weeks ago, and the team responded with a 18-goal explosion
18
at home.
I mean, Hartley was not anywhere near.
I did not have
best.
that on my. I did not have that on my bingo card. I knew both these teams would hit double digits, but I didn't see someone reaching 18. I'll tell you that much. So
yeah, somebody said in our chat, I'll say that, if Rylan Hartley isn't elite, then that Rochester defense has some holes in it. And yeah, they can score the shit out of the ball, no question about it. But if you can't keep it out of your own net, then you're going to have some problems there. And Hartley was far from his best. Hutchcraft was okay. Like, I don't think it mattered at that point. Like, the game was kind of out of hand. We'll see if, Hartley can bounce back after what I would call a subpar performance. Like, he's been really good to start the year, but was not good in Denver.
Do you know who else didn't look pretty good other than Rylan Hartley? Chris O'Riglieri. Yeah.
There's another guy. I mean, slow start to the year for O'Rig. Like, I don't think he had the greatest summer either. He's going through the firefighter probation stuff, I think, on the horizon as well, or he's done his training. So, that's coming around the corner as well. But he left the game with an injury too, and it didn't look too good for O'Riglieri walking off the turf in San Diego either. And by the way, San Diego, 9,200 in there to watch the Roughnecks come to town. I think like over 2,500 higher than any previous attended Seals game ever.
Great to see that. In SoCal, I think they're starting to buy into box lacrosse down there in the beach. And
yeah, I mean, they've always had a pretty good
great
core.
to see.
Yeah, they've had a good core fan base from the get-go, but I think it's starting to catch on a little bit more. And this game got a little rough, and the fans were going absolutely nuts for the fights and stuff that were happening. Gobrook and Ignacio, and there was DeChico was in there with a couple other guys, but they just lapped that right up. And I mean, when you watch games from San Diego, they got the Tommy Bahama shirts on, the flip-flop. We're talking January, and they're walking around in shorts and tank tops and stuff at the Seals games. It's a little bit infuriating. 5 Friday night games.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's ever happened in National Lacrosse League history. Like, normally when you have a big slate of games, like the majority all on Saturday night, maybe a sprinkle and a Sunday game there as well, but 5 on Friday night, like, I don't think that's ever happened. I'd have to go back and look. Somebody can tell me that.
But there you have it, 15-11 for Calgary over San Diego. And Calgary, first win of the season. Great to see that. And you're right, Josh Sanderson turned this team around a little bit. And Tanner Cook had a big game for the Roughnecks. And Aiden Walsh, he looked pretty solid as well.
Well, I think his best game as a pro. What did Walshy have? He had like 50 saves. I mean, you get 50 saves out of your goaltender, you're going to win most games. So you don't want to be giving up that many shots on a regular basis. But he frustrated that San Diego offense for the majority of the night. They just really couldn't have any. They didn't have any consistency. And I don't know. I think Kavanaugh is still kind of figuring things out. Watson was pretty quiet in that game. Berg's only going to do so much for you. So, Corey Small coming back off an injury. They're missing something there on the front gate for San Diego, and I'm not exactly sure what it is.
It's Jake Govett.
You know what, Lucas? I'm
it's
going to
Govett.
give you a hot take for that. I'm going to give you a hot take for that right there.
That's hot. That's hot. That's really hot.
Yeah, I think it's Govett. He was scratched this game, which was kind of shocking, but you throw him out that front door, and he may give you an assist or two on the night, maybe even score one himself, but he just needs to bang bodies, and that's what he's good at. And more importantly, Jake, banging bodies is one thing. Winning loose balls is another. And I watched him a lot last year with the Seals. Does he ever know how to pick up a loose ball and find it? And I think that if you put him out the O door. Doesn't matter where the ball is. If it's loose on the turf, he's going to go in there and he's going to find you that ball and get it back to the offense. Like I said, may only give you a point or two on the night, but if he can register 8, 9, 10 loose balls for you on offense, get those secondary possessions, Seals are just going to wear their opponent's defense down.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it, Connor Robinson, outside shooter. Corey Small, outside shooter. Dylan Watson, outside shooter. Noah Armitage, I'll give him a little, like, he'll do a bit of the dirty work for you. But you need, again, I'll say, like I say it all the time, you need some grease up front to do the dirty work. And I really like that take, Lucas. I think Jake Govett into that lineup. Throw the stats out the window. Just the intangibles, like you said, what he brings to the table, I think is worthy enough of putting him in the lineup and just seeing if it jump starts the offense a little bit. But impressive as hell here for Calgary. I mean, you don't want to start the year 0-4. You're going home here for Dane Doby retirement night. Vancouver and Roughnecks / Warriors coming to town here. You know, Dixon, King, Callies, all of it coming back to Calgary here. And this is going to be a really intriguing game, and I think super important for Calgary to get into the win column, have their confidence up here for this big game against Vancouver coming up in Week 7. So good on the Roughnecks. I had the Nighthawks for a 10. I had the Seals for a 9. 3 for 3 start, 0 for 2 finish, and that was a pretty disappointing way to end the weekend there. Did not see Calgary beating San Diego, but there it is. There's your Week 6 recap. Not done here in quarter number 1. However, as it's time to head for the Factory of Goalies. Goalie Factory Goalie of the Week.
Big save, Chiliano. Rebound call, Crime Stoppers. Vince just scored a goalie goal. Jameson somehow comes up with the stop. Larceny.
And here's Shane Jackson off the bench. And there's Christian Del Bianco with a stick side save.
I had to find my Goalie Factory read, Lucas. I got so many tabs open on my computer right now because, well, not only do I got Vegas and Saskatchewan coming up this week, but I decided to be a little proactive for the following week because next weekend I got Friday night in Vancouver taking on San Diego, and then 6 a.m. flight the following day down to Las Vegas for Dogs and Wings. And I got to connect through Seattle on my way down there, which is less than ideal, Lucas. So I'm, plus we got the pod and all the rest of it in there. So I'm trying to just kind of get ahead of the curve here a little bit. So point being, I got a lot of tabs open here right now doing game prep and all the rest of it. But I can tell you, the Goalie Factory is back on board here for 2026. Lots of good things happening at the Goalie Factory, including a new hire, draft pick by the Vancouver Warriors. Junior A Sam Belly's goaltender, Boris Matsumenko. Boris Matsumenko now a new coach with the Goalie Factory out there in Langley, coaching him up with Genghis and the boys. I'm going to get that to catch on. I don't care what it takes, Lucas. Genghis. It's going to happen. Caleb and Marcus Kahn, Curtis Armstrong, Daniela Carey, all working hard over there at the Goalie Factory, and they're going to make you better at playing the sport of box lacrosse goalie. A little field lacrosse in theirs too. I think they'll help you out no matter whether it's indoors or outdoors. You can go to @GoalieFactory_. Become factory built in person or over Zoom at Goalie Factory. This week's Goalie Factory Goalie of the Week belongs to Aiden Walsh. We just talked about him. 50 stops there. His first win as a Roughneck. Still young, right? He's still a kid. What is he? Like 23, 24 years old. And thrown into a really tough spot, both last year and this year. And I think Aiden Walsh has responded really quite well. And I think Calgary's got themselves a goaltender that they can build around. And the more minutes that he plays, the more games, the more saves he makes, the better he is going to get. And I think he's pretty good already. And I think he's right in that perfect age wheelhouse as well to kind of build around that young crop there for the Roughnecks. And Aiden Walsh is coming to the Goalie Factory as this week's Goalie of the Week.
I think he would make an excellent factory worker. You're right, 24 years of age, Jake. He's young. He is someone that if he's able to get good mentoring and good development in the league from whoever that is, this is someone that the Roughnecks and company are going to want to hold on to for a while. They got a lot of young forwards coming up, a couple of good D guys on the back end, a couple of guys that can run transition, and now you have the young starter in net.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like he doesn't get rattled no matter what the situation, whether he's, seeing the ball like a beach ball or having a tough night. He just kind of keeps that same level mentality, and that's the perfect temperament that you want for a goaltender. So welcome to the factory, Aiden Walsh. And as we do, straight from the factory, so you might as well get it out of the way. Double shift, we're off to the RyCor Construction site for our RyCor Standout Players of the Week.
I'm a hard-working man.
Ride, road, hammer, paint. Bam, 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 bam. RyCor Construction also back for 2026. Mind you, I sent off the invoice to RyCor this past week. I have not heard back from RyCor. Hopefully, when you check your email, from RyCor. The Make It Stand Out over there at RyCor Construction. They are family owned. Good family are the Millses, and they operate out of the Lower Mainland. They specialize in residential interior and exterior renovations, kitchens, bathrooms, full home renos, additions, flooring, finishing, backyard transformations. But they have tons of experience. I'll just say that. And they provide quality craftsmanship. Bottom line, you need a reno, RyCor Construction, let them make it stand out for you. Week 6 in the National Lacrosse League. Who stood out for you, Lucas Archer?
There was a couple of candidates that went on my ballot for my RyCor Standout Player of the Week, but this week's winner in Week 6, Jake, going to the Loud House down there at Ball Arena, rookie number 11, Braden Saris. Scored his first career NLL goals, finished the night off with 2, had a couple of loose balls, and just, finding his footing there on that right side, playing with Jack Hanna, who made his Mammoth debut, Ryan Lee, before he went out with injury, which is unfortunate. And I think Saris is a guy that they might want to use a little bit more to continue to score goals. And something else that I saw a lot this summer, and we saw him playing the President's Cup, this guy can run. So if you need him in transition role, I think you can utilize him there as well. But Braden Saris stood out for me this past week.
The game ball there after the game from Pat Coyle, which was good to see. And I think he's taken a little bit to kind of get going. Like, I think there's a lot there with Braden Saris. I think it's just kind of took him a couple of games to figure things out a little bit. But good player, and for sure will be another standout player of the week at some point, I would think. Jeff Teat, big game. Dane Smith, big game. Shiliano was rock solid. But I think the most impressive victory of the weekend has to be the Calgary Roughnecks, going all the way down there to San Diego. A winless team, hard place to win games there in San Diego. They found a way, looked impressive while doing it. And, normally I'll try and give it to a bit of a lunch pail, blue-collar guy, but I think this guy kind of is that. But he does it on the offensive gate. And Tanner Cook, with 9 points in this game, hat trick, 6 assists. What do you have? 5 loose balls and a caused turnover in there as well for Cookie. And I think when Salama probably hangs it up, Tanner Cook's probably going to be the captain of that team as well. Like, I think he's just a guy that his teammates gravitate to. And when he's cooking on the offensive end, those Roughnecks look a whole lot better to me. And Tanner Cook stood out down there in SoCal. He's getting my RyCor Standout Player of the Week.
Him putting up 9 points, not something that he does a lot, but not the first time that he's done it, and I'm sure he will do it again. And you're right. I can absolutely see him as being the captain of this team when Salama does decide to retire and step away from the game, and I have no doubt that he's already a leader in the locker room, but I think his leadership skills and presence are only going to improve as he continues to excel here in the National Lacrosse League.
Yeah, how about this whole the Calgary offense as a whole? Like, I mean, Pace had 7, Maillet with 9 points. I don't think they're getting that out of him every single game, but Dixon with 4, Manning with 5. I think that's the kind of the balance that the Calgary Roughnecks need. And like I said, Maillet and Cook aren't going to put up 9 spots every single game, but I don't think they need to. Like anywhere around 5-6 points from those two guys, and you get the supplementary offense. How about the goal from old hairball Harry Matsuoka in that game? That crazy sequence where O'Rig was making a couple of 6 saves, and then Harry comes in, grabs this ball going across his body, and the blind kind of backhand shovel into the top corner. That thing was a beauty.
I have to admit, I did not see that. So I will have to go back and 6 saves, pick up, backhand shovel.
Yeah.
Wow.
Check it out. It was early in the game. I want to say like their second or third goal, something like that. But you just don't expect that out of a defender.
I will go back and find that.
Yeah, never mind Harry Matsuoka pulling that one off. Okay, that's going to do it for quarter number 1, but not for the podcast. We're just getting started here on Lax Class 372. We're going to take a break. Then we're going to move into the second quarter, and we're going to be joined by the captain of the Saskatchewan Rush, Ryan Keenan, joins us next right here on Lax Edge Podcast Network.
This is Warren Hill, and you're listening to Lax Class.
Welcome back to Lacrosse Classified. Into quarter number 2 we go, and brought to you by Edge Dynamics, of course, at Edge Dynamics Digital. And at Edge Dynamics, they understand that every brand has its own distinct story and potential, and their mission is to help you unlock that potential by crafting marketing strategies that resonate with your target audience and drive measurable results. They pride themselves on their ability to merge creativity and data-driven insights, creating campaigns that are not only visually compelling, but also strategically sound. At Edge Dynamics Digital for their social media, edgedynamics.ca for their website. And do yourself a favor, sharpen your brand on a global level. This guy's been traveling the globe a little bit. He's been sharpening his brand, especially this past weekend with an impressive 11-7 victory over the Halifax Thunderbirds. The former number 1 overall pick back in 2016. I almost can't even believe I'm saying that now, but it's Ryan Keenan, the captain of the Rush. He's on Lax Class. Welcome to the show, Ryan. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks for coming on, man. And like I said off the top, I think we've had a couple of chats back on the old Rush Hour podcast back when I was doing that, but I don't think I've ever had you here on Lax Class. And just kind of getting ready for the show, looking at the Rush website and the standings and statistics, you're leading the team in scoring right now after 6 weeks of play. With your time there in Saskatchewan, I mean, you've always been a big contributor, Ryan, but I don't recall you ever being at the top of the list as far as the Rush go.
No, well, I played with Mark Matthews for a lot of years.
Nobody else was up there. Yeah.
I don't know. I think with our team, like any year, it's going to be a mix of guys up there in the top. We don't rely on 1 or 2 guys to kind of carry the offense. It's kind of a mix of 7, and there's usually 4 or 5 guys that are kind of all around that same pace. So it really could be anyone. We all have to play, do a bunch of different things, play within different roles, whether it's carrying the ball, doing the dirty work off ball. So that's just kind of how we've been for a number of years, and everyone's got to contribute in all aspects on offense.
Well, you've gotten off to a really good start, you personally, with 22 points, and you're right, Mans, Church, Shanks, all within 4 points of you. But, I mean, for you personally, I think this through 5 games here is one of the best starts of your career. And, for the Rush, a nice little 4-1 start here. Always kind of tough to get the motor going a little bit after a run to the finals the previous year, Ryan. But you guys are off to a real nice start here, 3-0 at home as well, and looking like you guys want to take it a step further this year.
Yeah, definitely. I did think right at the start of the year, I thought it was a bit of a slower start for us. Not great in the training camp games, and then I think we got a bit of a good wake up call in Ottawa, where we I think kind of as a team kind of agreed as one of our worst performances in a while, and it kind of forced us to kind of look in the mirror and provide a bit of a wake up. And the last 3 games we've been really solid.
Since the start of the season, Ryan, I mean, Jake said it, you are the captain of the Rush. And I mean, maybe you've changed a little bit since I remember you in your junior days in Whitby, but you're not the most vocal guy in the locker room, if I'm not mistaken. So, what is it that you do leadership wise that kind of gets the team going and, they kind of follow your lead when you're out there on the floor?
Yeah, I think the job is kind of forced me into a bit of more vocal role over the years, but really I just kind of it's the old cliche, but I really just do kind of try and lead by example and have my actions kind of spread through the rest of the team. And thankfully I've got a really good group of guys around me in our leadership group that kind of help getting the guys on the same page and being vocal. It's really it's me along with a number of other guys who kind of handle the load and communicate with the team. But yeah, really my job is just to kind of be that presence, that consistent presence every week that shows up ready to go and getting guys prepared to, for the expectation to win every weekend.
Well, you've had a couple of good captains ahead of you to kind of learn that role from too there in Saskatchewan, I would say, Ryan. And let's talk about the fact that, when you joined this franchise, you were, a lot of pressure coming on you being the #1 pick overall and having your dad as the head coach and GM and all of that. But you found your way, through the early part of your career. And now I'm looking at you 10 years later and, this entire roster has almost turned over. Like, I think it's you and Churchy left essentially. It's pretty crazy to think and see as you as one of the elder statesmen on this team now.
It is. Yeah. I'm getting a little more used to it, I think. And, the young guys are awesome. There's so much energy there. And it's been a lot of fun with this new group. It really kind of, we kind of had that big overhaul 2 seasons ago where, I think I was named captain and a number of other guys were either traded or signed elsewhere, retired. And it was a huge difference. Yeah. Where it was me, Churchy and Ness were the last guys. So,
yeah.
It's been a good learning curve and just kind of a lot of fun getting into the new role. Like I said, there's just so much energy and in such a fun group with these young guys, and they've kind of got their own presence and voice within the team, and just makes my job pretty easy and a lot of fun. But it's kind of crazy how it's been 10 years, and I think the year before I was named captain, I wasn't even wearing an A, and it just kind of shows the turnover that we had.
Well, not only that, Ryan, but a lot has happened on the floor in that decade, but a lot has happened for you off the floor as well in that time. Like you just kind of mentioned before we hit the record button, you were living in LA for a few years. Now you're living in Boston. You're newly married. I don't know if we got a bun in the oven yet, Ryan, but I'm sure that's probably not too far away either. But I mean, there's been a lot of growing up in your life as well.
Definitely. Yeah. Lots in the go. It's been, exciting times for me, but,
are we going to make Jammer a grandpa or what's going on there? Can we,
nothing in the works yet, but,
okay. Keep practicing. Just keep practicing. Yeah.
Yeah. There's always bets on who's next on the team, but, I think I'm pretty high up there, but, can't say anything yet.
Okay. Well, as long as, I just mentioned Derek and, a pretty special night for him this past game, Ryan, with number 300 here, more than any other coach in National Lacrosse League history. And, I don't think the boys were going to let that one slip through their fingers on Derek's 300th, but just talk about what it's been like to kind of, you've been around, I think, since he was still playing in the league in Buffalo, maybe right after, I don't know, you tell me, but you've been at his side through it all here in one capacity or another. Just talk about what your dad means to you and to watch him get to that number.
Yeah. I'm here where I am today playing at this level because of him and, enjoying it so much. And, he's lasted this long for a reason, it's, first and foremost, it's his love and commitment to the game and, giving back as he's done for decades. But, I still remember those early days after he was playing, but as assistant coach for the Rock in the early 2000s, they're winning championships. And I was, the ball boy those years. Those are, special memories. And his coaching career kind of started then. And he's grinded through a lot, coach and GM of Anaheim lasted a year, and then he was in Portland and
Right.
for a few years. And, then just taking over at an Edmonton team that hadn't had any success yet in the league and kind of having to build things from the bottom and build a new roster. And that's all kind of led to where we are now in Saskatchewan. And so, his commitment, his mind for the game is really special. And, not just me, I know the whole group's, pretty fortunate and feels that way that he's, still part of it, still on the bench with us and supporting Jimmy and in leading us right now.
That Brody Merrill trade's still paying off for
Mm-hmm.
the franchise. We're here with Ryan Keenan, and just to kind of cap that off, Ryan, I don't know if it was the Back of the Bird that I was listening to you on, but you kind of talked about your relationship with your dad, not only as having him as your coach, but having him as your father, and then having to kind of balance those two things, and maybe, some tough car rides home on certain occasions. Like, that can't be an easy thing for either of you to kind of try and navigate. Like, I think you guys have gotten to a point now, like, while you're, established as a pro lacrosse player, but the early years and maybe through your junior career, there was some tough nights for you.
No, definitely. I think that was, some blame for both of us, but for me, it was kind of just having to grow up a little bit. It's tough when you're younger, especially living at home to ride the game and then try and separate those things. And so definitely some potential, some blowouts between us whether it was on the bench or rides home. But it's all pretty professional now, and we were able to separate it pretty well, and just as player coach. And then when things are over, it's just back to father son and spending time together. So we've kind of struck a nice balance now.
I know it's probably a bit of a bittersweet memory, Ryan, but probably one of the toughest rides home that you've had in recent memory was probably last year after Game 3 of the NLL Finals. I mean, put that in the rearview mirror. What's a takeaway that you have from that series, from that playoff run that you had with the Rush last year, that you are now coming to this season thinking, okay, we got back here. It's been a while since the Rush have been here to the finals, and yeah, we made it to Game 3 and lost, but how do we get back there this year?
I think especially for the younger guys, that hadn't been there yet, and for me as well, it was just kind of a wake up call that we're right there. We're able to bring back pretty much the same group with a few more young guys now in the lineup, and it just shows there's such a small margin between success and defeat. So I think, as tough as it was, to finish that Game 3 in the second half, I think it was just, there's so much experience gained from our group, and the fact we got there too with such a young group kind of shows that we're ready. And I think we've been slowly just making improvements and preparing us for that moment again. But it's a long season and a long way to go there. So we're just chipping away and trying to get better each week to have that opportunity again.
Well, long way to go, and just kind of getting going here. You're going to be going from Boston to Las Vegas this weekend, Ryan, and that's no short jaunt. How have you?
Nope.
Well, first, tell me what is it that you do when you're not playing lacrosse? Like, what has taken you from LA to Boston, and what are you doing away from the game?
I'm a sales manager actually for a company based in Toronto. I've been there since I was with them since I was living in Toronto area. But
what are you selling?
Health and beauty products mostly.
Oh,
I work with retail.
That's why your skin looks so glowing when you're out there.
That's it. Taking all the samples. I work with mostly U.S. retailers and manage accounts. So that's how I'm able to live down here and live with my wife. And it's got a good thing going. We'll see where we end up long term, but we're pretty happy down here, right by her family, and lots of support down here. So
well, you should be able to get a direct from Boston to Las Vegas, I would think. But I mean, there can't be one from Boston to Saskatchewan or Saskatoon. That's for sure. So what's that been like for you a little later in your career to be making that trek, on every given weekend, whether it be to Saskatoon or somewhere else, like that's it's got to wear on you after a little while.
It's not easy, yeah. I'm sometimes I'm pretty jealous of the boys who live in Sask for sure. Some weekends those Sunday morning travels home, but I don't know. I've never really been one to complain about it. I don't mind the travel. You kind of get, I don't know, I guess you kind of get used to it. It starts to wear on you as the season goes on, but like right
Yeah, a little
now it's
later
kind
on.
of
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. I mean, right now I haven't had any issues and things are pretty smooth. I did it. LA wasn't easy as well getting to Sask, but
Yeah.
who knows? Yeah, the weekends when there's flight issues, you kind of go, oh man, what am I doing here? But
Just wait till your gear doesn't show up or something. Well, let's talk Las Vegas. I'm going to see you down there, Ryan, and I'm looking forward to this game. You guys are coming off a nice win against Halifax. Vegas put Buffalo to the test there in Banditland as well, and they look like to be a much improved club this year. And I think we're in for a good one here between the Rush and the Dogs come Friday night. So what kind of things are you guys preparing to try and beat Las Vegas on Friday?
yeah, I mean, I think there's going to be some goals scored. Their offense is looking pretty elite right now with the revamp they've had. So it's kind of up to us on offense to develop what we've been doing and to put up a good number. I think first game of the year we had 16 against Calgary, but we really haven't fully come into form and broken out in a while. So I think we're a bit due for that on offense, and we're just prepping this week through film and recognizing some things where we can get into that area, that 16 goals or whatever it is, to put ourselves in a good position to win. But yeah, it'll be good. It'll be a good test. It's not the same biggest team we've played in recent years, so we're preparing to be ready to play for sure.
All right, man. Well, we will see you down there in Sin City in a couple of days from now. Appreciate your time here on Lax Class, and best of luck with the Rush moving forward, man. Thanks for the time.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Have a good one. See you down there.
There you go. There he is, Ryan Keenan, captain of the Rush. And like I said during that interview, Lucas, like that is a tough spot for a guy like Ryan Keenan. Like I think Derek was always, not that he wasn't worthy of being a very high draft pick in that draft. Number one might have been like, oh, but there was no way that Derek was not going to take Ryan as number one. But like he has paid that off in spades. Won championship there. Now is the captain of that team. He's leading the team in scoring. And I think he's just grown into a really, really good lacrosse player and a good leader as well. And just a guy that you can kind of point to and say, like, be like that guy. That's Ryan Keenan.
Yeah, that's what he's become. And it's great to see. Heartwarming and humbling as a player, knowing that there are people around in the lacrosse or sports world, whatever sport it is that you're playing, saying, take a look at that guy. Look at what he's doing. You do that. It's very comforting as a player knowing that. I know that's what every player wants to be. They want to be a role model in some capacity on or off the floor. And Ryan has definitely come to his own that way. And it shows. I think that's a big part of the reason why he is now wearing a C out there in Saskatchewan.
I mean, direct disciple coming from Derek, like just raised right and, like just plays the game the right way. He's a pro's pro. And I think the perfect guy to be captain there in Saskatchewan. And 4-1 are the Rush. And you wondered, like, okay, were they going to take a step back after getting to the front? No chance was that team going backwards. And they're only getting better. And they look like they're going to be a big problem this year. Saskatchewan 4-1, and you think like that Ottawa game, they're not happy about that Ottawa game either. Like they think they should be 5-0, and quite frankly, they probably should be. So Vegas is going to have their hands full this weekend with Saskatoon. All right, let's go to halftime, Lucas, and then after halftime comes quarter number 3, and in quarter number 3. We are going to talk to sports psychologist Dr. Johnathan Jenkins about his brand new book, Mentality Wins. It's coming up on the other side. Stay classified.
Associated Labels and Packaging, a fun family company that offers premium quality labels and packaging with unparalleled service. With 40 years of experience, an extensive product catalog, and an ever-growing fleet of equipment, Associated Labels and Packaging is the perfect fit to take your labels and packaging to the next level.
This is John Donville, and you're listening to Lax Class.
Welcome back to Lax Class. We are into second half action, quarter number three. Quarter number three brought to you by Associated Labels and Packaging. AssociatedLP.com is the website you want to go to if you need a label or you need a package. They have a massive catalog. Their equipment is always on the cutting edge, and these guys always keep the environment in mind when they're designing their labels and packaging. And as I always say, everything needs a label or a package. So if you need one of those two things, Associated Labels and Packaging is where you want to go. They're back on board for what I think they are as well here, Lucas. I'm not quite sure. Like, my Seahawks absolutely hammered the 49ers over the weekend, but I made sure to get his commitment before that football game was played, because I wasn't sure if, after the fact he was going to agree to sponsor the podcast again. So made sure to have that conversation beforehand, but haven't got a response from Sean Ashworth in a couple of days now since the big game, but still go to Associated Labels and Packaging if you need a label or you need a package. As I mentioned, we welcome now co-author of Mentality Wins. He, along with his other co-author, her name is Dr. Kim O'Brien, is his co-author. But this man we're about to talk to is a sports psychologist, both for the New England Patriots and the Boston Red Sox. One of those two teams is one of my favorite teams. It's not the Patriots, I'll tell you that. But the member of the Harvard Medical School teaching community and former collegiate lacrosse player as well, Dr. Johnathan Jenkins. He likes to go by JJ, so that's what we're going to call him. But Doctor, welcome to the podcast, JJ, and happy to have you on board and excited to have this new book show up in my mail as well. I haven't had a chance to get the advanced copy yet, but I'm going to read this thing. I'm very intrigued about this entire subject. But the first thing that I always like to ask, and I know you've listened to the podcast a few times at least, how did you find the sport of lacrosse, or how did the sport of lacrosse maybe find you? Welcome to the show.
Great question. Well, thanks for having me. I'm spending my last day as a 41-year-old with y'all, so I'm excited to be here. I found
happy birthday as well. Happy advanced birthday, I'll say.
Thank you. I'm getting older. My knees are telling me I'm getting old. So I grew up in New England. New England has a lot of lacrosse in the area. And then, as most people do, there's a moment in your life where hubris kind of takes over, your pride takes over. So for me, that was at 16. I just met my first ever girlfriend. I was feeling myself. I was feeling really confident. We were at tennis camp. So I decided to play soccer without my shoes on in an indoor field. Went to take that first kick, feeling really cocky and confident, dislocated and broke my toe. So I was out of playing tennis. I grew up playing tennis my entire life. My parents met on a blind date to play tennis. So I had to pivot. So I had to find another sport on the grass because I couldn't really play hard court sports anymore. So I went to private school in New England, in the greater Boston area. They had a lacrosse team. A lot of my friends played lacrosse. And I fell in love with the history of the sport, the culture behind it. But then I also found, I'm really kind of good with the hand-eye coordination, and started playing there, was a late bloomer, played D3 in college and stayed connected with it through Metro Lacrosse, which is now Harlem Lacrosse. And then when I was out in grad school, Denver Lacrosse as well, just supporting the community. Anybody who wants to play Lax should be able to play Lax.
Love it. And then maybe, quickly we'll turn our attention here to Mentality Wins and the book surrounding bringing attention, I should say, to the importance of mental health in young athletes that gives them the tools to cope in sport and in life. What drove you to wanting to write this book on this particular topic?
Well, I think for Kim and I, it was both our individual experiences. So playing D3 lacrosse for me, Kim played Harvard hockey and won the national championship in '99. And even though we had success in our sports, her a lot more than I did, we had the emotional burden of trying to perform, trying to be a student, and also just trying to go into adulthood. And if we had the tools, if we had a clinician by our side to help guide us, we probably would have been more successful, but more importantly, would have probably felt better in our experiences as athletes. So knowing that there are plenty of athletes out there and coaches and parents who just need some information, some basic information to guide their practice and guide their journey, we wanted to make sure that anybody could have access to this. You didn't have to be in Boston to be able to see Kim and I. You don't need to spend a ton of money. You can buy this book, get a great entry into sports psychology and the combination of athlete mental health, and then be able to guide your journey and excitement into that for any type of further study that you want to do.
How long has this project and this book that you and your co-author have been working on, JJ, been in the works?
Well, it was funny because Kim and I met at a conference and we were both parallel writing a book or deciding that we wanted to do it. And then when we realized that we were both going to write on the same topic and we had similar experiences and similar ideas, we said, hey, let's join together. It'll be a fun collaborative process. I get to pick her brain. She gets to pick mine. And also we come from different sports. She's very entrenched in the hockey community. She has a lot of great research and experience with suicide prevention as well. So being able to lend on different people's expertise was great. Over the course of a year plus, we actually wrote the book. We got a fantastic editor that took our paper and made it into something that was enjoyable to read. And so the process was really cool to kind of see our own stories in the book, with permission, some stories from clients that we worked with, and then the skills be able to be laid out in the book. But Kim and I had been doing this work, giving presentations, speaking engagements, really having the same song that we sing to people, but being able to put it out in the book was really important for us so that it can live on without us being there and people can enjoy it whenever they want.
Is this your first one, JJ? Is this the first book you've written?
So this is actually my second book. I had what I like to call a poor man's Dr. Seuss book as the first book. It was called Wednesday Afternoons with Dr. J. It was written, I think, in 2012 as part of my doc project at University of Denver. Okay. And it was
Dr. Seuss. Now we're talking. That's right up my alley right there.
There you go. Green eggs and ham all day. So I wanted to introduce therapy to kids because I'm a child psychologist, and a lot of the work that I do, kids get really nervous about talking about their emotions, right? Even as adults, if you walked into my room, I'm a stranger. You never met me before. I'm a doctor, so you might have some anxiety and nervousness about that. So to really get them settled into the process and say, whoa, I'm just a normal guy, know something about psychology. I'm here to help you. And I want to create this space, this relationship, so that we can talk about our feelings and our emotions. So that was the first book that I wrote. And so this is more of self-help, performance psychology. And it was a cool process because I was able to share some of the stories from my life and Kim was able to from her athletic experience. So I didn't realize how cathartic it would be writing the book. But in the end, I felt that I did justice for some of the negative experiences that I had. And I was able to use those negative experiences to help other people in the future. We're
here with Dr. Johnathan Jenkins of Mentality Wins, a brand new book coming out, I believe on the 26th of January is where it's going to be released. Maybe we'll just get this off the shelf right now, so to speak here, JJ. Where can people find the book and buy the book if they want to get it?
So you can pre-order the ebook on Amazon right now. The paperback will be available on January 26th. And right now we're doing some auditions for the audiobook to figure out who's going to be the narrator, because you got to have the absolute best audiobook narrator. And then we're going to release that. That will probably be mid-February, early March.
Good stuff. And, I will maybe relate to you a little bit here, JJ. Like for me, when I was in my 20s, I took what they call the National Coaching Certification Program here in Canada, which gets you up to like a level 4 coach where you can coach Olympic athletes. And it's a 2-year program where you touch on all sorts of things. And one of my professors, just to kind of give you an example, was the female Olympic wheelchair basketball coach. So he, along with his counterpart who coached the men's Olympic basketball wheelchair team, had the same practice times, the same funding, the same facilities, the same everything. But my professor really focused on mental training with his team. And consistently over a 12-year span, the women's team would medal at the Olympics, at the Paralympics, and the men's team, which didn't do a lot of mental training, would not. And that was kind of the point that he would hammer home, that any kind of mental training that you would do is going to give you a much added advantage over your opponent. And I took that away from him, kind of leaving that class and bringing that into my own coaching. And back when I started coaching, it was still like, and I feel like it's still a little bit taboo. Like, I don't know if enough coaches are kind of doing it or doing enough of it or doing it the right way. But I know in my personal experience, when I introduced it to my lacrosse team, I was still pretty primitive at it. Like, I didn't have a full grasp on what the best practices or things to do were. But when I would do it, I would see significant improvement in their play. And to the point where, you know, I would go maybe a week or two without doing it, and I'd have a kid come up to me and say, "Hey, like, can we go back to that? Can we try that again? Can we do more of that?" And it was almost like a light bulb that went off. Like, these guys, I think, were a little apprehensive at first, kind of buying into it and wanting to experience it. But once they kind of did that and opened their eyes to it, they saw the benefits of it. So, I mean, for me, and I know I'm being long-winded here, but like, for my playing career, I had none of that, JJ. Like, no coach ever told me how to like calm my nerves or instill confidence in me, or, you know, have visual aids or cue words or breathing exercise or any of these things that can help you give an added advantage to your competitive play. So tell me, you know, what's your take on this, and how important it is, do you think, for, I know you're kind of focused on young athletes here, but maybe that's where it needs to begin as far as coaches go, is start to implement this into young kids so they have those tools to succeed later on.
No, it's a great point. I mean, and I'll, if it's okay with Lucas, I'll put us on the spot. So think about, in the course of a week, how much time you spend on your physical body, getting a massage, doing your cardio, lifting weights. So what number do you think that would be?
Well, for I mean, different strokes for different folks here, JJ.
Yeah, true.
I try and say, I mean, on a weekly basis, I usually try and get to the gym at least 3 times a week, and then do something else physical, like go play disc golf or something, at least once or twice. So say 5 days a week, couple hours a day.
All right, so 5 to 7, 5 to 8 hours.
Sure, let's go.
Lucas, how about you?
I'm probably at least a 2 to 3 hour workout at home, and I usually go to the chiropractor at least once every week. So, you know, round that off and call it 3, maybe 4 hours.
Okay, so 3 or 4 hours a week, 50 weeks. So we got about 200 hours to 225 hours a year on your physical body, which is fantastic. You got jobs, you might have partners, you might have kids, a lot of time to spend on your body. Now, how much time do you spend in therapy, in meditation, visualizing, doing mental reps? There's such an imbalance between that.
There really is.
If you take 2 athletes, let's say a professional athlete is spending 700 hours a year on their body, professional athlete A. We have professional athlete B, who's maybe spending 500, but is now taking that extra 200 hours that they could have spent on their body. They're spending it on their mental preparation. So now every practice is more efficient. Every lift is more efficient. They're more on track with their nutrition. They're also maybe giving their body a little bit more time to rest, because the guy or the person who's doing 700 hours is just banging their body through workouts and cardio, thinking that's going to be the thing that's going to tip the scales of their skill. But it might be that they actually need to recover more and do more brain work or more mental work or more emotional work. We often think that we're going to get bigger, we're going to get faster, we're going to get stronger, but whatever league you play in, D1, D2, D3, professional, amateur, beer league, you're probably pretty similar to your competition. But where you can have exponential growth is your brain, your ability to tolerate stress, your ability to communicate with your teammates, the ability to be strong during moments of stress. And you can do countless mental reps of whatever you're trying to do before your body gets tired, versus trying to do physical reps and get to the gym, get to the field, be able to practice. So really showing people that if people aren't spending time doing the mental aspect of it, not only will you get an advantage for doing it, but you're also doing something that they're not doing. So you're going to have an inherent advantage.
That's the key right there. Doing something that others aren't doing. And I think, you know, now, JJ, with pro sports, I think it's become much more commonplace for athletes, high-level athletes, elite athletes, to have a significant mental training. But for the average Joe or the young kids that maybe haven't been introduced to it yet, and we should probably also make note, like I kind of learned that, you know, you take a sport like golf. Well, golf, is way more mental than it is physical. You're talking like 90-10. A sport like lacrosse, you're probably more 60% physical, 40% mental. So each sport has its own kind of dynamic on how much mental training goes into having elite performance. For kids that are just getting introduced to it, how would you tell a coach start doing simple things? Like what type of things would you have coaches do for young athletes to help them improve?
Well, I think the first thing is getting them to be aware of how they're feeling. So in a play or after a difficult play or after a really great play, get them to understand where their emotions are so they're able to keep them in check. One of our great strategies that we suggest in the book that we've seen other coaches do is encourage all the players to start at a level 3 with their self-talk. Self-talk goes positive, you go up to 4 and 5. If it goes negative, you go down to 2 or 1. And then periodically throughout practice, blow the whistle, ask players to think about where their self-talk is and to make adjustments. If it's still at 3, can you say anything more positive to get you in a good place? If you've dipped down to 1 or 2, what do you need to do to bring yourself back up? But I think people get so physiologically agitated when they're playing sports. We forget lifting and working out is stressful on the body. It's stressful on the mind, that they forget to take awareness and be in the moment and be in their body and be in their mind to recognize, how do I actually feel? And is what I'm feeling impacting my performance and my ability to perceive what's going on around me and how I interact with my teammates, how I interact with my coaches, and how I'm trying to pick up a ground ball.
Yeah, dealing with pressure or whatever the case is. And when you mention self-talk, like that is things like, oh, you're worthless, you're a piece of trash, like you be better, things like that, where you can have a real negative impact on you. But you have to be able to have some positive self-talk in there as well, like, and pat yourself on the back and praise yourself internally when you do good things as well.
Yeah, you just want to be honest. Like, if you're playing like trash, you can say that, but in a way where you still have some self-compassion. And if you're playing really good, you puff your chest out, you feel that confidence in your time and your preparation. One of the things that we fight constantly is this idea of like, well, I'm not confident. I don't have confidence, or during a game, I lose my confidence. I don't care. I want you to develop systems of willpower so that when your confidence leaves, it doesn't matter. You have the willpower to go get that ground ball. You have the willpower to show up at practice, even though your team has lost 4 games straight. So being able to get off of this, I have confidence or I don't, and go into, doesn't matter if I'm confident or not, because confidence comes and goes. I can have the willpower, I can have the determination, I can have the systems in my life to do the things that I need to do to be productive and to be healthy.
Sorry, Lucas. I just kind of want to stay on this subject here. And I find it interesting, but JJ, like you mentioned willpower, and I think that is a great path. But I mean, it's a simple fact that confidence correlates with high performance. And the more confident you are, the better that you are going to play. But it is also a pretty proven fact that players are going to lose their confidence, and they personally may not be able to get their own confidence back. So as a coach, what are some mental cues that you can use to reinstill confidence into an athlete?
So I was going to say, I'm going to play devil's advocate on the confidence piece. And, I grew up watching Gary Gait. You got Charlotte North, you got D. Smith up in Buffalo. So we assume when they make all these plays, like D. Smith, best assist player in NLL, like when he does all that good stuff, the sportscaster, ESPN, the coaches, your person sitting next to you, they're like, oh my God, he's got ice in his vein. He's so confident. That's an assumption. If we had truth serum and we asked him, there were probably a whole bunch of those spectacular plays where he was probably nervous. And it just turned out really well because he has willpower, he was determined, and he had systems to know that I've practiced this shot so many times, I've watched enough film that if I put the ball on this guy's stick, he's going to make the shot. So, and we also have examples of that in our own lives. I don't know about you, but like when I was single and I had to ask people out, I got really nervous. But yeah, my wife said yes, so it was fine. And things like that, public speaking, all those things where we were nervous inside, but when we asked people, how did it go? They were like, oh, you killed it. You did such a great job. So we have examples in our own lives where confidence was absent, but we still performed well.
Okay, help me out here then, JJ, because I have a prime example for you.
Lay it on.
Like I've been doing I've been play-by-play broadcaster since year 2000. So we're talking 26 years. I've been on TV many, many a time. And it doesn't matter whether I'm in 40 below Saskatoon or down in the desert, like what building, doesn't matter. And I'll be fine right up until the point where I know the lights are coming on and I got to step in front of the camera and do it for real. And that's when the forehead starts to leak and I got the towel going and I got to get through this open, which is only like 2 minutes of being in front of the camera. But for like, I've done it hundreds of times, JJ, like, and every time, no matter what, the sweat comes and I cannot stop it from happening. So I want to know, you tell me how to make that happen. And if you do, I'm willing to send you a knee transfer or something, because I would love to be able to control that, because I can't, like, I can't do it. So I would like to know what are some cues or some tips that you may have for me to kind of help that anxiety. I mean, because that's all it is, because as soon as the lights go off and I start to announce the game, the sweat goes away and everything is fine. But that every time, no matter what, it comes. So how do I stop doing that?
No, I love this because, if I can play armchair psychologist, sports psychologist for a second, you've attributed the sweat on the brow, the sweaty hands, the little, thing in your throat to nervousness that you're going to perform poorly. Whereas other players like Steph Curry, the basketball player, when he gets anxious or feels the pit in the stomach, the heart rate racing, the sweat go on his brow, he interprets that as excitement. His body is tuning up to perform. So for you, like you said, you've done it hundreds of times, and hundreds of times you've been perfect. You've been great. You've thrown in a joke there. You've made a really good point there. You were able to keep it together and have a great opening segment. So it's not that you're feeling this and then you bomb. You're feeling this and you do your job, you do it really well, and you have fun and you flow into the activity. So your interpretation of that stress response is a negative one, whereas another sportscaster might interpret that as, all right, I'm ready to go. I'm about to be on.
Embrace the sweat is what you're telling me. Embrace the sweat.
Embrace the sweat. You're just getting lathered. You're just getting lathered up to be on TV. It's all good. It's that anticipatory anxiety or nervous response. So think of your sympathetic nervous system. So sympathetic gets you aroused. Parasympathetic calms you down. So you're getting that arousal to do something that you interpret as important. You don't get that feeling when you're going into the grocery store. You don't get that feeling when you're, opening the door to your apartment. You get it because you know this is important, not only for you, for the players, for the coaches, for everybody watching. But again, you still perform well. So it's not something where if you were an athlete or you were a ref where you felt that way and then you started fumbling and bumbling and having all these bloopers and poor calls, then it would be something that we'd be concerned about. But this just might be the anticipatory response that your body has to doing something that's unpredictable and very important and very relevant in your day.
And it's like, reflect on past experiences that you've gone through that are going to help you kind of lead your way through that.
Yeah, and get exposed to challenging situations outside of the main thing that you do. Like you spoke about golf. One of the reasons why I picked up golf is I need to stay connected with doing something really, really difficult. If I live in a world where I only do things that I'm good at, I'm not going to be prepared for those moments that are going to be challenging, and I'm probably going to turn into a jerk. So being able to challenge myself constantly gives me something to always keep me humble, but also something to always strive towards and get used to how I feel when I get down on myself or when things don't go well. I can find solutions to solve it, and golf serves that purpose in my life.
I want to keep you a little bit longer here, JJ, and I got a few more things I want to ask you. I want to talk about the book a little bit more, and who this book is primarily directed to. Like, who do you want to pick up this book? Who do you want to read this book? And maybe a few of the major topics that you will cover that are going to be interesting to people.
So one of the things that separates this book from other books is that a lot of sports psychology books focus on what do you do when you're playing the sport. And what our book does is it separates the book into 4 pillars. So we have focus, flow, finish, and flourish. So focus is, what do you do to prepare, pre-game rituals, routines, etc. Flow is, what do you do when you're competing? So how do you get into the game? Finish is, how do you manage those crucial moments? You're down by 1, you're up by 1, those stressful situations. And then flourish is, what do you do in between games to enrich your life, to increase your mental health, things of that nature. So anybody who's interested in having access to all of those areas and levels, it would be cool. But then in terms of the audience, we're thinking anybody who's new to their level of sport. So high school athlete, college athlete, early professional athlete. So maybe say 14 to 25, 28. Maybe if you're 35, you're 45, you've had experience with some of these skills that we're teaching, but it still might be good for you if you feel completely like a novice or you haven't had exposure to those things.
You mentioned the flourish part at the end, JJ. So I want to ask you, what are some things that you have found in your research and your experience that young athletes should be doing to flourish in between performances and games that can help their mental health?
Well, I think one of the worst things for athletes have been specialization, particularly in the States and in Canada, that has ruined athletes tremendously, not only physically, but you're not able to flourish and become a holistic human if you're focusing on your sport 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. You need other interests, other things that have value and bring contentment into your life, other relationships that are important, so that you don't get all big-headed and say, well, I am the best hockey player or lacrosse player in the world. You have other things to keep you humble, but you also have other things so that when sports isn't going well, you can lean on your art or you can lean on your relationships outside of sports. So when I see parents, particularly of young kids that I work with, lean into that specialization, one of the cautions that I have is you're putting all your eggs in one basket. Yeah. And when that basket, hits the lottery, great. But if it doesn't, like it doesn't for a lot of people, where is your child? Where's your young athlete going to be able to find refuge? Where are they going to have sanctuary? They have to have another thing. And then in the professional athletes I work with, it's the same thing. You spend so much time playing this professional sport, but you still need to enrich these other areas of your life.
Do you have an age where you think you kind of need to get to before you start to, at some point, JJ, you have to make a decision. Do you have an age, like is it 15, 16, where you can start to kind of go down one path more than another?
It's a good question. I mean, everybody develops differently, physically, mentally, and emotionally. So I think it depends. One of the things that research has told us is that we do a really poor job of evaluating talent. Just because your kid is athletic at 5 years old, 10 years old, 14 years old, we don't know if they're going to become a professional athlete, except if you're LeBron James, Michael Jordan, and you're just a freak athlete. Those outliers, we for sure know. And outliers the other way, we know that you're probably not. But if you're in that happy middle, we have no clue, because you see it all the time. NHL draft, NLL draft, PLL draft. Number one picks sometimes hit. Number one picks sometimes, crap out.
6-rounder might just be your best player ever as well. So, I mean, it can go both ways. JJ, we won't keep you too much longer here, but, you have worked with the New England Patriots. You have worked with the Boston Red Sox. So you've probably been around some pretty cool moments in sporting history, I would think, and around some pretty cool players as well. Do you have a favorite memory or two that you've had a chance to experience up close and personal?
It's a good question. I would say my favorite sports memory was one where I wasn't working for the team when the Red Sox came back from being down 0-3 to the Yanks.
I mean, you're talking to a Red Sox fan since 1986 here, JJ.
Oh, nice, nice.
I don't know. Roger Clemens' rookie year, that's when I just kind of got hooked on to the Red Sox for whatever reason. But there's a lot of pain there before that. Was absolute euphoria watching that.
It was great. It had the drama. It had the intrigue. Pedro Martinez, Big Papi, Kevin Millar, all the
Schilling
things.
With the bloody sock and all the
bloody sock, Schilling, yeah.
Yeah.
All those things. But
oh no, I was going to say that's a great moment. And you being from the New England area and obviously being a lacrosse guy, I don't know, like, were you watching the Black Wolves at the casino back in the day? And you mentioned Dane Smith. Like, is he your favorite player? Or like, how close are you keeping tabs on the National Lacrosse League?
So Smith is definitely my favorite player. When I was in Colorado, we had the opportunity to go to a bunch of Mammoth games. So that was awesome. Played box in Colorado. Obviously, in the off season here, we'd play indoor lacrosse all the time. But I used to be a gazelle, not so much. I got a little gut now, but I used to love playing full field outside lacrosse. And so box was really hard for me because there's less real estate. So if you're really fast, but you kind of build your speed a little slower, you're kind of contained. So I had to learn different aspects of my game, kind of like close quarter combat, how to move, how to shake people, how to play defense. So for me, it really helped my game. And then as I got older, I don't want to be doing full field sprints anymore. Let's make it quick. Let's make it easy. And it was a great transition.
So Dane Smith, does that mean you're like a big Bandits guy, or are you still a Mammoth guy? What who do you want to see win the championship this year?
As a New England Patriot employee and fan growing up, anything Buffalo is hard to root for. So it makes it difficult. Yep. But since it's a different sport and different allegiance, I do love Buffalo. There's a lot of Rochester connections in my life in the lacrosse community, so I support them.
All right, Nighthawks
in this small area.
Yeah, Nighthawks are looking pretty good as well.
Sure.
JJ, Mentality Wins is the name of the book. January 26th. You can pre-order online right now. Anything that we didn't cover that you want to talk about before we let you go?
I think the last thing is just be a good fan. Be a good fan. I've had the privilege of being on the sidelines and in the dugout for pro sports, and you just hear some of the most horrendous stuff being said to these athletes and these coaches. And if you pay a ticket and you live in the community and support the team, support the players, support us when we win, support us when we lose. Think about what's going to motivate them to get the results that both you and them wish for. But just be a good fan. Enjoy the sport.
Well, and that just kind of led me down one more road that I want to ask you about as well.
Let's go. Robert Frost. Let's go down that road.
Being a good fan is one thing. Being a good parent, I think, is another. And, raising your kids right, and all that. But when you were at a sporting event, watching your kid play, we've seen countless numbers of just egregious stuff here, JJ. So, maybe a message to the parent, like, is there things that they can do mental health wise to be a better parent and support their kid without being an absolute nightmare in the stands?
A couple of things. One is, and Abby Wambach gets credit for this. When your kids are practicing, don't go to practice. You can be at practice, be in the car, go for a walk if you need to be local. You want to be around just in case there's medical emergency or something like that. But that's your time as a parent to get that hour, 2 hours back to yourself. Scroll your phone, get some exercise, do whatever you need to do. The other thing is, think about coaching. Think about getting involved. Think about reffing. Think about being a part of the fabric of the sport community in your town. And it will give you a different lens of how you're treating the referees, how you're treating the coaches, because some of that experience you'll experience, and it might inform how you treat other people. So you have the thems and the us, the refs, those coaches. But if you have issues with it, go be part of the solution. Go join those ranks and help out.
Yeah. Go walk a mile. Go walk a mile in their shoes, and then you might have a different outlook. JJ, this has been a great conversation. I'm really glad you made the time to come on the podcast. Hopefully, we covered everything that you were looking for. And again, I'm looking forward to getting a copy of your book and having a read. And hopefully, it makes me a better broadcaster somehow as well. So I appreciate you doing this, and best of luck with the book.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here and looking forward to more episodes.
All right. Appreciate it. There you go. Dr. Johnathan Jenkins, PhD, sports psychologist, Harvard Medical School, and working with some big-time teams like the Patriots and Red Sox. And we just had him here on Lax Class. Unbelievable conversation right there. Let's take one final break here, Lucas, on the other side. Both coming up in quarter number 4, Lax Class Lock of the Week, and who you got.
This is NLL Hall of Famer Steve Toll. You're listening to Lax Class, your go-to source for all things NLL and box lacrosse.
Welcome back to Lax Class, into the final quarter of action. We go here on Lax Class 372. Jake Elliott, Lucas Arger, and what a great chat there with Dr. Johnathan Jenkins. Like a conversation like no other that we've had here on the podcast. Hopefully everybody enjoyed that as much as we did doing it. We still have things to get through here on the podcast. Lax Class Lock of the Week coming up, who you got coming up. But as always, we would like you to go subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening. Smash the subscribe button, hit the 5-star review, jot down a few words, share the podcast with your friends, and then give us a follow while you're at it. Lax Class Podcast on the X, Lacrosse Classified on Instagram, Facebook page as well. Email address is in there too. And we've been getting some emails lately. So lacrosseclassified@gmail.com is where you want to go for that. You can follow Lucas Arger. You can follow myself on social media as well. And you can stay up to date with all things Lacrosse Classified if you do. So highly suggest you do all that. Like, subscribe, share. Thank you very much. All right, quarter 4. Normally we do it in quarter 3, but we're going to do them both here in quarter number 4 this week. Lax Class Lock of the Week.
Lock of the week.
Hey, let's lock and load it! Woo! Yeah!
I am going to be a very rich dude.
Ooh, it's a big lock, all right.
Lax Class Lock of the Week is brought to you by Coolbet Canada. Coolbet.com is where you want to go, and once you go there, you want to sign up for an account if you haven't done that yet. No time like the present. Perfect opportunity to get signed up to Coolbet. You put in the bonus code LAXClass before you put any money in for your first-time deposit, and Coolbet will match your first-time deposit up to $200. Then you got $400. Now, both of our parlays last week, Lucas, were done Friday night. That's not good. You had the over. I had Halifax plus 1.5. Neither came in. So the parlays were done on Friday. That's not a good recipe for success. We're going to try and do better this week for sure. We got 2 more parlays for you. But I also want to remind you to get signed up for the promotion that Coolbet is putting on right now. And that's a trip to Edmonton to go watch that Unbox game. Right at the top of the Coolbet website, you will see what looks like a little gift box up there at the very top, kind of right beside your name. That's where all the promotions are going on. Scroll down to the sports tab, and then you're going to see the NLL Unboxed giveaway. And for every $10 that you spend gambling on the National Lacrosse League now, if you put $50 on one bet, then you get 5 tickets. If you put 2 $25 bets, you still get 5 tickets. So for every $10 that you spend, you get a ticket into a raffle to win a trip to Edmonton to go watch the Roughnecks and Swarm play. And that's coming up. Not this weekend, next weekend. So get in on this while you can. I'm not exactly sure when the draw is going to be made, but it's going to be pretty soon because they got to let the winners know. They're going to Edmonton to watch the National Lacrosse League. So get in on that. Bonus code Lax Class, National Lacrosse League, exclusive parlay, courtesy of Lax Class. Ride with Jumbo, ride with Larger. Lucas, you go first.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. You are right. Riding with me this week, although I'm not sure if it was the odds makers or someone else at Coolbet, but they forgot a letter in my name on Ride with Larger. They're missing an I, but it's all good. I know what they mean. My parlay is coming in at a plus 665, classmates, and here it is. Owen Grant, 2 or more points. Ty Kurtz, 3 or more points. Jack Hanna, 3 or more points. And CJ Kirst, 1 or more goals. So
Okay.
3 players for their points totals, and CJ Kirst, 1 or more goals. Owen Grant and the Warriors taking on Calgary. So I'll recap that. Owen Grant and the Warriors have Calgary, 2 or more points. CJ Kirst and the Rock, 1 or more goals against San Diego. Jack Hanna, 3 or more points. Mammoth against the Swarm. Ty Kurtz, 3 or more points against Halifax. Plus 665. Come on, Larger fans. We need a win.
Any fans, we need a win here. And I like this. Like, I think the one that concerns me a little bit is Owen Grant, but I think OG's been a little under the radar so far this year, and I think this couple of weeks off is going to, I think he kind of came into camp a little dinged up. He hasn't been at his normal dominant self, but I think this 2 weeks off over the holiday is going to be a great thing for Owen Grant. I think he's going to be a motivated player in this 2026, and it's only a matter of time before he starts producing at the other end of the floor, not just defensively. So this could be the game here against Calgary. See if
another thing that I like, Jake, sorry, hate to cut you off, but another thing that I like about this for Owen Grant is that unless a goaltending change is made, it's Aiden Walsh. Grant has shot a lot on Walsh when they were both met, when Walsh was a member of the Vancouver Warriors. So yeah. I think Grant knows where to were to shoot on Walsh, and I think he's going to pot a couple for sure.
Now, just remember, it's 2 points, not just goals. So he can get a goal and assist or 2 assists or 2 goals. Doesn't matter. Good luck, everybody, riding with larger without an eye. Mine, more of a bit of a traditional parlay here. Simply goes like this. Nighthawks, I don't think they're too happy about last week. Taking on Philadelphia, on the road, mind you. Rochester playing twice this weekend, and you know they want to get the first one under their belt because the second one is a much stiffer test, especially playing on back-to-back nights and considering the opponent and all the rest of it. So give me the Rochester Nighthawks. We'll see if old Ralphie and Nikki, I mean, it hasn't been that many days since those two just squared off on center floor. So I don't think we're probably going to see another goalie fight here, but if it's going to happen, I mean, they got the right guys involved.
It's the city of brotherly love. Anything is possible.
Okay, so Rochester over Philadelphia on the money line. On the point spread, we're going to take the Vancouver Warriors. Back for, they're going into Calgary. I'll say not back to Calgary. They're going into Calgary. Dane Doby's jersey is going to the rafters. Forever a roughneck. Now, normally, I don't like to kind of piss on the parade here when things like this are going on, like jersey retirement night or whatever the case is. I usually take the home team in this situation. But I don't know. With Jesse and Curtis and Christian and all that coming back into Calgary, I think the Warriors would like nothing more than to spoil the night there in Calgary. Warriors -1.5 here. Got to win by 2 in Calgary. And finally, we're going to go, we just had Ryan Keenan on, and one of the first things out of his mouth, which makes me happy, said, I said, what are we expecting here in Las Vegas this weekend? Well, I think we're going to see some goals, is what he said. Well, I sure hope so. I like calling goals. I like seeing goals, and I want the goals to happen for the classmates here as well. 21.5, modest. Frankie is way over 80 as far as his save percentage goes and way under 10 as far as his goals against goes. But I think Vegas is going to find a way to kind of penetrate that Sask D. And I think Sask is going to score some goals here, obviously, as well. We'll see how Landon Kells reacts after getting pulled in Buffalo. So we'll see if all that plays out down there in Las Vegas. Point being, I think we see over 21.5 goals between the Dogs and the Rush. So over 21.5 in Vegas. Vancouver to win by 2. Rochester straight up on the money line. Get you a nice little supple plus 530. Lock it in.
The Roch money line I like. Vancouver winning by 2 or more. It's just that over 21.5, Jake, that I'm concerned about. Frankie has been on fire lately. He doesn't allow a lot of goals, and neither does that Sask defense. They're not allowing a lot of stuff inside. No. But I don't know. That's tricky. But if it does happen,
well, listen, we saw 28 goals in Banditland last weekend, and you had a guy by the name of Matt Vince in the net, and the 3-time champion defensive unit of Buffalo. And Vegas still managed to put up 13. So
you're right. We did.
We're going to see some goals. So lock it in. Ride with Jumbo, ride with Larger, ride with us both, and good luck. Stay cool. Bet responsibly. Straight from the lock of the week into week 7 of Who You Got. It's time once again to play your favorite podcast game. Who you got?
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 Who are you?
Who?
Lucas, that was your best one so far by a wide margin right there. You look like you weren't going to come through in the clutch, and then you just stepped up big time right there. Nicely done.
Practice makes perfect.
Wayne, I got to get this right. He sent me an email on his correct name pronunciation. I should have looked this up before I started this segment right here, Lucas. Now I got to scramble and try and find his email. Wayne Bullion. Am I getting that right? Wayne Balian. Balian. I had it right. Wayne Balian. I think I called him Balian last time that he won. He's won a week of who he got before. And I did tell him, this is back when Stampede Tack was sponsoring who he got. And instead of doing like a who he got, we got him to do a horse noise because they're a Stampede Tack in Western. So we got him to do like a nee. And Wayne's horse noise might have been one of my favorite horse noises of all time. I can't recreate it, but Wayne Balian is who you got is in there as he won week number 6 in the National Lacrosse League. And I believe, Lucas, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think he was the only guy to go perfect.
Yeah, he was the only one to go 5 for 5.
That's impressive right there. I mean,
that is.
Yeah, to have Colorado, Calgary, the only guy out of over 200 people to go perfect. So congratulations to Wayne. Lucas, you had an awful week. How did Funky and Vinny do? I haven't even really looked at the standings, to be honest.
Well, I don't know how they did, but I can tell you this. Vinny forgot to make his pick Friday night for Halifax and Saskatchewan.
Oh, no.
But he still managed to make all 4 picks for Saturday and beat Funky. So he has been lording that over Kim all week.
All right, fair enough. All right, so what do we got here? Dave Pettin still holding down first place, 11-point lead. Goose Kramer, Goose for Lax, has moved up into second place. There's Wayne in third. And Lee Powers sitting in fourth place right now. And Naja Winkler sitting there in fifth. So there's your top 5. If Danny would have taken Buffalo last week, she took Vegas. If she would have taken Buffalo, she would have won. Didn't happen. But I'm pretty sure that I did better than you, Lucas, in week 6, did I not?
Yeah, you did.
Say it like you mean it. Okay, week 7, I'm hosting, like I said, 8 games here, 5 on Friday, 3 on Saturday for week number 8. Here we go. We're going to rip through this, Lucas. Rochester at Philly. Who you got?
Rochester. I like their offense. Philly's defense just isn't as strong. Nighthawks 9.
Nighthawks for an 8 for me. Halifax, first of 2 games for them this weekend. They are in Ottawa on Friday. Thunderbirds and Black Bears. Who you got?
I like the goaltending matchup in this one, but I think Warren Hill is going to outperform Zach Higgins. Thunderbirds on the road, 7.
Kind of going backwards in this. Like, I don't think the 2 teams that are playing 2 games this weekend are going to go 0-2. I also don't think they're going to go 2-0. I think Halifax loses the first one, which tells you who I'm taking in the second one. So give me Ottawa. We got some cooking there for a 5. Warriors and Roughnecks. Who you got?
Vancouver. I think you're right, Jake. They would love nothing more than to spoil banner or jersey night for Dane Dobie. Warriors for a 6.
Taking the Warriors, and they are my 9 pick this week. This next game going Friday night, 7:30 Pacific time, exact same time as the Desert Dog game. Lucas will be watching the Vegas game. I promise you that. Toronto taking on San Diego. This is a tough one for me. I have a bit of a, well, tell me who you got.
I have the Rock from Toronto. I just think their offense is clicking more lately, more than San Diego's, but I'm still a little iffy, so not 100 on this. But right now, I'll take Toronto for a 5.
I'm going to take Toronto as well, and simply for the fact that Dow texted me this morning. We were talking a little football, and I said if Denver and Seattle make it to the Super Bowl against each other, to grab the RV and just slide through BC on the way down to San Francisco, pick me up, and let's go to the Super Bowl. Said, can't do that, Jumbo. Don't have the RV anymore. I've upgraded to the PJ. Jamie's down in Florida for 3 weeks. I guess he's got his private jet parked somewhere down there. But if Denver and Seattle make it to the Super Bowl, the private jet's picking up Jumbo, and I'm going to San Francisco with Dowick to the Super Bowl. He told me that's happening. So I'm not picking San Diego this week after that. Give me Toronto for a 4. Saskatchewan in Vegas. I'll be there. Lee's Family Forum. 4-1 Rush. 2-2 Dogs. Lucas, who you got?
I like Vegas. I think their offense is just going to find a way to get some scoring going. I don't know how they'll do it, but I just feel like they will. But again, you're going up against a team that went to the finals last year. So because of that, Vegas 3.
I like the way you think. I'm not showing up to Las Vegas not picking the Dogs in this situation. I'm going to put a 7 beside the Dogs here. I'm not confident. I think this is a bit of a trap game here for the Rush, and I like the Dogs in this spot. A little Vegas Golden Knights themed jersey here this week as well. Dogs, 7 for the Dogs. 7 for the Dogs. Buffalo, Rochester. Oh, everybody's been waiting for this matchup. I don't know so much after Rochester kind of dropped that game last week, but still a good, intriguing matchup. 3-1 Bandits, 2-1 Nighthawks. Who you got?
I'll take Buffalo. I would take Rochester, but they're on the second half of a back-to-back, and they drew the short straw. They have to travel to Philly, practice there, play Friday night, then hop on a flight or team bus, whichever method of transportation they're doing, to then get back to Rochester the very next night. So they're going to be tired. They'll be gassed. Buffalo 4-8.
It's my 10 game Buffalo Bandits, and I think for all the reasons they'll be taking a bus from Philly to Rochester, I would think, and that's a tough turnaround. So all the more important Rochester get that first game. Remember, I took you in game 1, Rochester, but it's the Buffalo Bandits, and my new strategy is just 10 beside the Bandits every time, and I'll take my chances right there. Buffalo 10, 2 more games to go. Halifax, Oshawa from the Tribute Community Center. Thank you very much. Halifax and Oshawa. Who you got?
I'll take Oshawa. They got their offense going last week. Couple of defensive breakdowns. They will clean that up. Halifax is going to be tired. Bus ride from Ottawa down to Oshawa, about 4 hours. So I'm banking on them being tired. Oshawa, 4-4.
I like the Thunderbirds here, and I like them for a 6. Last game, Colorado at Georgia. These two teams played already this season, and I think it was a blowout win for the Swarm, was it not?
12-3 for Georgia.
Can they do it again against Colorado? Who you got?
I say yes. Georgia is going to stifle Colorado. I think Dauber is going to show up again. This is my 10 game. Swarm 10 at home.
Ooh, this is my 3 game, but I also like the Georgia Swarm in this one. Highlight the team that you're picking. Put the confidence number beside the team that you think is going to win. Most confident, it gets the 10. Least confident gets the 3, and everywhere else in between. Total amount of goals in that final game between Colorado and Georgia for your tiebreaker number. And then, Lucas, what do you do?
Save and apply. Hit that blue button.
You only have to do it once, and it'll do both things. It'll save it, and it will apply it. So do that. Good luck, everybody. Big week, 8 games, and we're going to see who's who and what's what here in week 7, of the National Lacrosse League. Want to thank everybody for listening, the classmates. I want to thank our sponsors as well: Associated Labels and Packaging, RyCor Construction, Edge Dynamics, the Goalie Factory, Coolbeck Canada, and don't forget, grand champion of Who You Got gets a handcrafted hickory wooden lacrosse stick from the good folks at Mohawk Lacrosse. Go to mohawk.net. If you can't wait, you want to buy yourself a wooden lacrosse stick, go to mohawk.net. Tell them Lax Class sent you. Might do you some good, might not. I don't know. I also, before we get out of here, I want to thank PK over at Buffalo Sports Collective for having me on their podcast last week. I want to thank my boy, Brad Challoner, for having me on Coach's Calls this week. Go give that a listen if you haven't done that yet. And also, I don't know what's going on here. People are just asking me to come on their podcast all over the place. Ben Abel, I'm going to be on the Golden V podcast coming up next week as well. So look forward to that coming out, which I will share with you all when it does. But fun to be on the other side of the microphone once in a while and get interviewed instead of doing the interview. And for some reason, it's all kind of come in the last week here. But I wanted to give a shout out to all 3 of those guys in Ben Abel, Brad Challoner, and PK over there at Buffalo Sports Collective. I want to thank Dr. Johnathan Jenkins, sports psychologist, for coming on the podcast. I want to thank Ryan Keenan as well for stopping by. And to you, the loyal listener, the classmates. And I think I kind of failed to mention this at the end of the calendar, Lucas, but the Spotify numbers went off the charts again this year, like just significant listenership and downloads and all the rest of it over the course of the last 12 months. Bunch of new follows as well. I just want to thank the classmates ever so much for taking the time to listen to the podcast each and every week. Without you guys, we're not doing this show. So you keep listening. We'll keep talking. And thanks so much for listening and sharing the pod and doing all that sort of stuff. We really appreciate it here on Lax Class. Thanks so much. We'll be back for Lax Class 373 a week from now. But now, this podcast is over. For Lucas Archer, I've been Jake Kelly, and for the fastest game on 2 feet, and for the creator, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay classified.